Finally. Ah, epic intro. Epic intro. That took me half an hour. Damn it. No, this is not a space odyssey. It's me. Not dead, just resting. Hello and welcome back to Mars. I'm Mick. We're still playing Stationeers. It's been a while. There has been a lot of changes since I was last here. And I thought I'd have a bit of a look at what we've got here. So, yeah, we've had a liquids update. The supreme beings of this world had passed a bill through Parliament to make some amendments to the laws of physics. We now have phase change. So, what is phase change and what does it actually get for us? Well, phase change is all about the gases and ices changing between, well, gases and ices and liquids. So we can find a lot about it with our phase change diagram. So we pick any gas. Let's pick carbon dioxide. It changes to liquids now. We can see we've got a little graph of how that one there. That's an awful one for what we want. Let's try pollutant. That's a much nicer one. We'll use it into Celsius. It makes it a little bit easier for my brain to work with. Yes, if you don't use Celsius, there's no button there to use degrees feet. But there we go. So we can see that as we run our little dial along it, there has numbers down the bottom here and here to tell us what the actual readings are from the X's here and there. So, yes, this will allow us this lovely little diagram. We'll use this a fair bit. This will tell us how things change from liquids to solids and gases and whatnot. Now, well, basically there, if you take your pressure and your temperature, if you wind up down the bottom here below the line, it's a gas. If you wind above the line, it'll be a liquid. If you end up over here, it should be ice. Yeah, so I suppose with that changes there, I mean, how have they done all this and has it helped there? I mean, it's a case of, is it a help or is it a hindrance? Well, what game are you playing? Is it a help or is it a hindrance? Yes, it's both. It's always both in this game. There are pros and cons. It will help you out with some things, but nothing comes without a cost. So there will be lots of explodey pipes as you learn how to use it. All right, so now phase change. Probably the best way to do this is just to show it. Now we have our pollutant sitting here quite happily. It's only at 2.8 megapascals in here, so that is quite happy to exist as a gas at 20 degrees Celsius. Now if we pump it into our empty pipe here, we should find that as the pressure increases, we should see, there we go, whoops, that's enough. We see that our pollutant from the drops here is starting to liquefy. And it's giving us liquid pollutant. Now it is getting up in there, sort of, you notice a couple of things there. One, it's gone up in temperature. Two, it's gone to liquid. And three, that our pipe's now getting pretty angry. Because even though it's 30 litre capacity and only 1.98 litres in there, it has a 60 megapascal limit, but there's only 4.29 megapascals in there. It is still now under stress because it's gotten wet. If we look at there, we see the pipe is on its way to explode. Now, why does it do that? Yeah, it certainly does. Does it make any sense? No. No, it doesn't. But that's what it is. My best thought on that is the pipes are made by the Wicked Witch of the West plumbing company, and since Dorothy beat them up, they've got turned to plumbing supplies, and they're made of green sugar, so you just can't get them wet now. Yeah, no, it really doesn't make much sense, but that's what they've done. You can't get your pipes wet. So yeah, that's kind of some Harry Potter shit there. Get your pipes wet and then plumbus explodicus, it'll burst for no apparent reason. Well, that's because it's got liquid in there. So to save us from that, if we can get it there before it explodes, we've got these little things here. We've got our liquid drains here. They're one way to do it. We've got a variant of them, which is just your pipe drain there. I can bung one of them on there and it just vents all the liquid straight out into the atmosphere there. So all that pollution is now in the atmosphere where it belongs and not causing problems in the pipe. Once again, it's just released all the liquid out until it has settled down to a pressure where it is comfortable. So that's 4 megapascals at 62.2 degrees, which we should be able to see on our chart there. What do we have? 62 degrees. That's about 62 there, 4.22 megapascals. Just what we had, was it? Pretty close. But yeah, so that's one way of doing it there. If you want to keep the stuff, so if you want to actually collect the liquid, what do we need? A spanner to get rid of them. We can get rid of you and put this one on instead, which we have a variant of that, which is a condensation valve. So once again, if we start pumping that in there until that starts getting angry. Yeah, I can just open the valve and all the liquid, instead of being blown out in the atmosphere, is now coming over into the liquid pipe as well, liquid, I guess. Right, now we can see that as we blew gas into here, it heated up because it was all condensing. As we come over to here, we can see it's all evaporating because we've got liquid into a pipe which has some space in it there. It all evaporates and our temperature is now dropping down. You can see little red wavy things there that says that liquid is evaporating.
Waste tank caution.
Awesome, thank you for that. So it's going to actually use up all of the liquid. It's okay. So it's actually all evaporated because we don't actually have enough liquid in there for it to stay liquid. There's enough space in the pipe for it all to evaporate. Let's chuck a bit more in there. Yeah, you're not happy about that, but tough luck. Whoop. Once again, it's still getting hotter and hotter in there. The more the liquid condensates, it's releasing its latent heat of vaporization, which remains in the remaining gas, and then the liquid at 111 degrees then pops over into here, where it then evaporates and reduces in temperature again. Now, let's not worry about the latent heating at the moment because that's something that can really give you a headache. But yeah, just suffice to say that now the pipe's is full of vapor pressure. That's another thing there. Liquid pressure is not calculated. The pressure we have there is actually the vapor pressure in the pipe. So these pipes only go to 6 megapascals because, as I say, the liquid pressure is not actually calculated. So they've reduced the pressure in the pipe to sort of allow for that. I can see why they've done that. It's probably something, once again, something I don't really like about it, but I can actually see why they've done that. Because if you're going to look at your liquid pressure, how you calculate your liquid pressure in the pipe, if they were going to do it, and I've run out of pipes here, give me some more pipes. There we go, I got some more pipes. Now, if we say that, well, 2 of those is a metre high, let's say, it is the weight of the water in the pipe which actually produces liquid pressure. So if you've got, say, 2 metres of liquid of water in there on a planet which has 1 g of gravity, at the bottom, you will have 20 kilopascals of pressure. In the middle, you'll have 10 kilopascals of pressure. And at the top, you'll have none. So each of those lengths of pipe will have a different liquid pressure in it. So if you put a tap on the bottom there, you get plenty of pressure. If you put a tap on the top there, you would get no water coming out. So, I mean, it is reasonably easy to calculate the pressure in all of those. But I think the reason they haven't done it is because that means every single pipe in the entire place would have a different pressure, and you would have to calculate every segment of pipe individually, and the frame rate would probably go down to 1. So in the interest of keeping things actually running, I'd say they've stuck with calculating the entire pipe network as a single entity, and yeah, decided to trade frame rate for a water pressure. I can see why they've done that. It's a bit hard to get your head around if you well, if you're used to dealing with liquid pressure. But suffice to say, just know that it's not there. And that is just the vapor pressure. Now you can see it is changing between evaporating and a little bit of condensation there. It's not going to show it now. It did a second ago. There we go. Which just means it's reached an equilibrium. So it's evaporating a little bit and condensing a little bit. It's at an equilibrium. So 4.12 megapascals at 52.4. Once again, if we go to our graph, 52.4 was 52, if I can find it there, that's close enough, 4.95, which is about right where we've got it there. Because on our graph, this line here is where they reach equilibrium. If it's above that line, it should be happy as a liquid. If it's down below here, it should be happy as a gas, but it will try and get back to the liquid, try and get back to that line if you leave it alone and let it reach a state of equilibrium. So we've made a bit of a change. Now, one of the things we do need to know about this one here is the liquefaction. As I say, it'll take a certain pressure of gas in there to cause it to liquefy. Now, I don't actually need I don't need 5 megapascals of pollutant in there to actually liquefy that. I just need 5 megapascals of any gas in there. So that actually makes a way that you can actually separate the gases out. So use it as a form of filtration. So the moment I've got pollutant in there, I can actually, by adding something such as nitrogen, which I've got in this other tank here, I can actually force all of that pollutant. The nitrogen won't liquefy at this temperature. So it's just a matter of, steady down, is just a matter of forcing the nitrogen. This one's got 11 megapascals in there. So we see now the percentage of pollutant is just reducing as it's all forced into a liquid and pulled through to this side. So we have the nitrogen and the pollutant, and all of the pollutant will disappear. So the nitrogen will not liquefy, not at this temperature and pressure anyway. Well, not at this temperature. Doesn't matter what pressure I put it at this temperature, it's not going to liquefy. Now, there we go. So we're down to liquid, and now we've just got nitrogen left. So none of the nitrogen's come through to this side. Only what was liquefied has come through here. So I'm essentially, if I had a mixture of nitrogen and pollutant, you would find that I have just managed to separate them all out. So we find that it can actually be a handy thing if you've got something you want to separate out your nitrice, which I don't have set up here. Hang on a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. We have our ice crusher with our liquid valve. We better switch that on. I don't know why it's got an on-off switch. I haven't come across a situation where I actually want to switch it off yet. It tends to just cause your pipes to explode. But anyway, it has an on-off switch. Now we have just an extra couple of these inline tanks there to give us a little bit more volume. So now I should just need some nitrice. There we go. I've got a ton of it there. If we go onto this side here, we can see that our nitrous is actually starting to liquefy. Once again, at this temperature, the nitrogen will not liquefy, but we have enough pressure there to cause the nitrous to liquefy, and it should be coming over to here. Once again, it only transfers the liquid through the condensation valve, so none of the gas, which is the nitrogen, will actually pass through. So do I have enough? It looks like I do have enough pressure there to just force all of the nitrous out of one into the other. There we go. So we've put in the ice, which contains nitrogen and nitrous, and I have forced them to go on, get over there. Be gone with you. Oh, it's still coming out of here, isn't it? There we go. What? Oh, that's starting to freeze now. Oh, awesome. Okay, well, there's a nice demonstration of the snow. So once again, as I say, there's maybe I don't want to put the you will be bursting lots of pipes as you play this, so get used to it. Maybe if I get rid of that there's not going to be enough space there for the pipe to actually expand. And oh, get out of my way. There won't be as much space for the nitrous to expand and evaporate. So let's try that again. Once again, we have just got nitrogen in here. I'm still getting some of the nitrous coming out of here. It takes a little while to work its way out. And let's have another go. Put that away. Grab you. Yoink you into there. Now. There we go. So once again, we've got the nitrous coming through with the condensation to the liquid, and over this side it is evaporating and dropping in temperature. Hopefully it will reach its pressure here. We've still got 80 litres in there. Let's remove some of those pipes. Okay, temperature's actually going up now. So at minus 12 degrees, if we look at our thing there, we should be able to find, if I go down a bit further, oh damn, minus 12, that's getting close to freezing point. So I'm going to have to be very careful there. But at minus 12 degrees, it should only take 845 kilopascals to keep that as a liquid, and we have got over that there now, so it should not evaporate any further. Once again, it is not evaporating anymore. It has reached a state of equilibrium and we're safe. Once again, if there was a larger volume in there, this would all turn to ice and burst our pipes as it just did before. So yeah, the temperature change on these can be a bit of a headache. So that's why I say the easy way to do it is just with the these things there, and sort of say, I don't care about the nitrous. I just want to get rid of it.
Incoming.
Oh, awesome. Right, so that'll be the easy way to get it. If you're having trouble with it, it's probably best just to avoid nitrous and avoid the pollutant, because they're the ones that will very easily liquefy and give you lots of trouble. So throw them away until you start to get the hang of it. But I'll wait for this storm to go and we'll do something else. Okay, so now if you do insist on using nitrous as your fuel, you might find there's a couple of other things you have to contend with. Now, in terms of getting your fuel there, once again, that is close to freezing and bursting the pipes in. Now, you can pre-charge this pipe with a gas, an inert gas such as nitrogen, where you pump across, so you need 800 kilopascals in there to stop the nitrous from evaporating. You can pump like 800 kilopascals of nitrogen in there, which will not condense, to force all of the nitrous into a liquid and stop it freezing. That's one way of doing it, but when you want to actually extract the nitrous, you will need to extract it as a gas if you want to then mix it into fuel. Because I don't have a liquid mixer, so I can't mix liquid nitrous with liquid volatiles. And if you want to extract it as using a purge valve, that will extract the gas in there, which will be the nitrogen if you've pre-pressurized it. So that's not going to work. Okay, so now if you try and extract that gas via a purge valve, it will cause the remaining liquid in there to evaporate, which will lower the temperature and then freeze the pipes again. So you've got to keep more of it coming in, or you've got to keep that pipe warm with a heater perhaps. But you've got to be careful now, because you are going to freeze it as you try and use that gas. Another issue you're going to have is once you've mixed it, I'll have to show you this one because this is fun. Bit of a mix up here now. We've got our ice crusher set up for our hydrogen, ice crusher set up for our nitrogen, and our nitrous, same as before. So now I just need to put in some nitrice and not blow everything up, hopefully. There we go. There you go. Temperature dropping. Don't freeze, don't freeze, don't freeze. And 12.6. Oh, that's getting close to freezing temperature. But we've got our 800 kilopascals there. And we are not showing any freezing icons there, so we are probably good. Nice. Okay. So that's that there. Now we need our volatiles. Now that one should not. She's way too warm. That one's not even going to come close to freezing or condensing. That one there. It has to get to very cold. Being more specific, volatiles, that has to get down to even start, has to be minus 74 before it even starts to think about liquefying, and minus 190 before it'll start to freeze. So we're pretty good on that one there. So I don't need to do anything special with that one. But we've got that there. You are still good. Right, so now I can use a purge valve there, which I can just sit down to, careful. So now I've put too much into here and it is now liquefying in here, which is going to cause problems because I don't have a pressure regulator which actually purged to a specific pressure in here. So now getting the nitrous out of that is going to cause problems. When I suck too much out of there, so that's down to minus 19, and that is going to start freezing if I try and suck any more out. It was minus 12, I sucked that extra little bit out, and now it's minus 19. Well done. Now, if I mix my fuel, this is the trick. See, my, is it going to be okay? That should be okay. Right. So now I have got, once it all finishes evaporating, it is below 800 kilopascals, so that should all evaporate, and I will have a nice mix of fuel. If I take that above 800 kilopascals, this will start to liquefy and cause my pipes to explode because of the liquid stress. And aside from that, you probably notice the temperature on it there. If I start putting more into it, we'll see that the temperature is now actually rising. And once it gets above 20 degrees, it's going to auto-ignite. And I think it's going to get to 20 degrees, or not quite. It's not liquefying, so it's starting up to 900 kilopascals there. But if I take a bit more pressure in, nothing in there. Yeah, you're still now getting up very hot and up to 30 degrees. So as this condenses, it's releasing its heat of vaporization, which takes, and now you're about to freeze. Because I took out the extra gas, that one's about to freeze, and that one's exploded. Lovely. And that one's now going to, it's not going to combust. Interesting. I thought it was only 20 degrees. That might have been raised a little bit there, but that's going to eventually stress if I can get enough nitrous into it. Well, yeah, you are at danger if you start trying to pressurize that. You will actually get it to auto-ignite as well. So yeah, that is an issue. This section in here is an issue with liquefying in there, freezing in there, liquefying in there. Yeah, so if you do insist on using nitrous as a fuel, good luck. I do have a workaround for it. what you do is you replace your nitrous with oxygen. Then it's very easy. But yeah, if you want to use nitrous, as I say, good luck with that. That'll be, I don't have a workaround for that. But yeah, all the best to you if you want to use that. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't use nitrous as fuel. It's just to say that it's going to be rather difficult because you will have trouble with it liquefying. So if we heat it up to the point where it'll remain as a gas, that will be at 156 degrees, as we can see down here. Of course, if you mix it at 156 degrees, it's just going to auto-ignite, which is bad. If you have it too cold, below the auto-ignition point, we'd see down the bottom there, you've only got about 900 kilopascals of fuel that you can store before you actually start to have it liquefying. And as it liquefies, it will heat up and it will explode. Because we'll see that our latent heat is actually quite high for the nitrous at 4 kilojoules per mole. And of course, the specific heat of the hydrogen that you're mixing it with is rather low. So as it condenses, it will pass its heat energy onto the hydrogen, which will rise in heat very quickly. So yeah, if you store it below the liquefaction temperature, liquefaction pressure, which means you can't store a high pressure fuel, that's about the only way I can figure it out. And of course, as you draw fuel out from your nitrous liquid, make sure that doesn't freeze or it's going to explode. So you're going to have to check your liquid nitrous temperature. You're going to have to check your outside temperature pressure, your temporary storage, your gaseous pressure and force. So it's going to be difficult, but it is very powerful, so it should be difficult. It's risk versus reward in this game. So if you want it easy, then you've got to just put up with doing things the hard, monotonous way. But yeah, so that's a problem you're going to have there to solve. Good luck with that one. But it's not going to combust. Interesting. I thought it was only 20 degrees. That might have been raised a little bit there, but that's going to eventually stress if I can get enough nitrous into it. Well, yeah, you are at danger if you start trying to pressurize that. You will actually get it to auto-ignite as well. So yeah, that is an issue. This section in here is an issue with liquefying in there, freezing in there, liquefying in there. Yeah, so if you do insist on using nitrous as a fuel, good luck. I do have a workaround for it. What you do is you replace your nitrous with oxygen. Then it's very easy. But yeah, if you want to use nitrous, as I say, good luck with that. That'll be, I don't have a workaround for that. But yeah, all the best to you if you want to use that. But anyway, so as I say, get rid of your nitrous if you're just learning. After you've learned, you probably won't want to use nitrous. But there you go. Right, so next random mumbling. Right, so this is the problems with it. Well, that is the major problem I found with it so far. But what can we do that is actually useful for us? How do we make it work for us? Well, being on Mars, it is very handy because we've got our atmosphere here, which has nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide and pollutant. Now, we don't want the pollutant there, but if we have just the nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, I'll be able to pump that straight into my greenhouse to feed my plants. I just need to get rid of the pollutant. Well, fortunately, the pollutant will liquefy at room temperature. So if we say pollutant, we use our graph. So at room temperature, say 24 degrees, it will liquefy at 3.6 megapascals. So we can use that to scrub out the pollutant. Let's get rid of that abomination and we'll have a look at the other stuff. Okay, we got two identical pipes here. They are both empty. They are both just an active vent with a pipe and a drain valve on it. Now, during the day, we are 19.5 degrees. All I have to do is switch these things on. and pressurize this to 3.6 megapascals, and that should start to cause our pollutant to condense. Let's try English. So that is now condensing. It is being blown out that valve there. If I switch it off and just let it settle down, we can see that the pollutant is now dropping in percentage. The liquid should be draining out. That is, well, it's gaining because that's turning into liquid. So once all that's gone, now the liquid should go down to 0, and boop, we have our filtered gas there, which is just nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. So there you go. That is now, without the use of a filter, it is now ready to pump that straight into my greenhouse. That's wonderful, but what if you want to breathe the stuff? Well, we find that we can also have, if we say we want to get rid of the carbon dioxide, we find that the carbon dioxide will liquefy once it gets below -9 degrees. About there. So 4.7 megapascals between that and -45. But at night time, we get to about -40 degrees, which is well within the liquefying point of the carbon dioxide. So if I repeat that very same thing at night time, we should lose the pollutant and the carbon dioxide. So let's give it a go. Okay, it is now nighttime. It is -50 degrees. So if we look at our doodad here, ooh, that's almost at freezing point. That is just above the freezing point of carbon dioxide. It's well above the pressure is below 6 kilopascals, so it should remain as a gas. Right, but now if we repeat our experiment, switch that on, we do this, we now have the carbon dioxide liquefying, and once we get enough pressure in there, we should have the pollutant liquefying as well. Now this will take a while to do because the atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, so if I step away from here, bit foggy in there, we find our atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide. So we only have, almost 1%. So we've only got about 4.5% of these two here. So to get enough gas in there at 4.5%, we've sort of got to get enough gas of oxygen and nitrogen to fill up one cell at 2 kilopascals. We've got to suck all the gas out of about 20 world cells. And of course, we're going to want to fill it up to more than 2 kilopascals. Here we want to hook it up to about 70. So that means there's an awful lot of world cells that we have to actually suck all the gas out of to pressurize our base. How are we doing? We're still only up to 4 megapascals. Okay, nice. We see our carbon dioxide is now down to 60% or 65% if you include the liquid carbon dioxide. Our pollutant has gone down, so we're now up to 25% and 12% respectively, which is a little bit better than the 2% and 1% that we had out here. But if we keep going for long enough, that one will get rid of all of the carbon dioxide and all of the pollutant. And notice our temperature is rising. It is now up to 30 degrees, whereas we're sucking in gas at -52. But we're getting into -30. That's because as the carbon dioxide liquefies and the pollutant liquefies, it's releasing its latent heat. So that is putting extra heat into the system. Once again, it's something you've got to be careful of. But there you go. So that one will eventually give us a breathable mix. So it's slowly going up in nitrogen and oxygen percentage-wise. It will eventually get to very handy and very breathable. We've got almost a perfect 2-to-1 mix of it. So we will get a 1 parts oxygen to 2 parts nitrogen, which is very much suitable for breathing. So I shall be able to then pump that bit back into my base as a breathing gas. And you notice it's also very cold. That is the only problem there. But surprise, surprise, the thing that I'm going to need on Mars is a cooling system. And if my breathing gas is very cold, all I need to do is blow in more breathing gas as it gets too hot. And that'll be a way of regulating the temperature in my base as well as providing breathable gas. And of course, I'm getting it all from the atmosphere, so I can never run out of it. And I'm not even using a filter. So I don't need to go change filters. I have a seemingly endless supply of oxygen and nitrogen. I suppose I've got to provide power to it, so it's not completely free. But there you go. That is how we can use it to our benefit on Mars. And that is how I have my whole base running at the moment. So it will eventually get there. So we're down to 30% CO2. Will it get there before morning turns up? It may do. We're up to minus 45 degrees. We might get there. Now we've got up to 10 megapascals of pressure in there, of which it is 2/3 nitrogen oxygen. So that should give us around about 6 megapascals of nitrogen and oxygen, which should be enough to force the other gas out of the room. So if I can switch that off, I see the temperature rises now because I'm not sucking any more cold gas. It is just the gas we've got in there liquefying and releasing the latent heat. As that goes down, as long as that stays above 6 megapascals, it should be enough to force all the carbon dioxide into a liquid and out through the vent. And yeah, it looks like we're going to have plenty in there. Oh, and there we go. Okay, it's taken a long while to get rid of that last little bit of it there, but that will eventually disappear, leaving us with just a nitrogen and oxygen. So it's 66 to 32 and 2% of carbon dioxide there. They can still breathe that. That's all right. Nothing to worry about there, but that is a way to get our breathing gas simply just by switching on a vent at night time, pressurizing our pipe, and everything else will disappear. Now, I mean, that is perfectly viable for pressurizing your base, because that's what I have done here. In my base currently, I do not have any filters looking after the atmosphere in here, but I do have it temperature controlled. I do have it temperature controlled and mixed. So I grab the oxygen and nitrogen via a nighttime collection. So that cools down, controls the temperature and controls that. And during the daytime, I collect carbon dioxide to make sure I have some carbon dioxide to keep all my plants happy. So my plants are happy over here. All going along nicely. That's about it. I mean, I guess we've got so outside, let's go have a look at my system there. So I have got, if I go up here, I have a collector up here for collecting, well, a sizable upsized one for collecting my nighttime gas. Well, that is at minus 26.1 degrees, and that is nitrogen and oxygen. All the carbon dioxide has liquefied out of that. And that's all it's doing. It just switches on the vents when it's minus 20 degrees or less than 20 megapascals in there. And that is my coolant and my breathing gas. Over here I have my carbon dioxide. Oh, it's currently running at the moment, so there is liquid pollutant in there. That is just done via a vent over here. So that's there, it is just switched on at the moment. That is the pipe that sends zebras all around my base. No, that's the oxygen and nitrogen. Although having a tap full of zebras would be much more fun. Right, so that one is there. Once again, all the pollutant will, it's back up to 10 megapascals now, so the vent has switched off. It is just the last little bit of pollutant there to actually fall out of it. And yep, so there is no filters to change on that one there. So in terms of difficulty there, I think this has actually made Mars probably, well, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's it's probably easier. It certainly makes starting a lot easier, because that's all you need to set up your ventilation. You don't need to set up filters and any fancy systems there. It is just a couple of vents and a couple of valves. But other places, well, especially the cold planets, I mean, Europa, the moon. Moon used to be an easy place. Now, if you just, cooling used to be just a case of slapping a radiator onto a pipe. Don't do that. Because the moon is very cold. Although you don't feel it when you're in your suit, it doesn't affect your batteries and things, but it is very cold on the moon. Same with Mimas there. So you'll find that they are now a lot more difficult, and you'll blow up a lot of pipes. Well, at least I did anyway. Europa, of course, is cold, so that is going to be rather difficult. Yes, everything blows up. Well, did for me anyway. Vulcan is actually very, very helpful. The using this system here allows you to collect a lot of pollutant, which you can use for cooling your base. So it is very handy. It has made Vulcan a lot easier. And Venus, well, Venus is just plain old difficult no matter what you do. But anyway, so Mars is now by far the easiest planet. It used to be the Moon or Mars were pretty easy, but now it's Mars is easy. The Moon is quite tricky. So when you're learning, go to Mars. That'd be my best advice on that one. So that's probably random ramblings on these things. Storing the liquids, it's a little weird. I have had a bit of a broken pipe there, as you can see. Now, storing the liquids, I thought liquefying it is a great way of storing a whole lot more gas. But this one's not quite full. 48.7 out of 60 is 120,000 mole. You liquefy it, that's about 90% full, and we've got 137. And that one's what, about 70? Yeah, about 80% full. 120, 90% full, 137. So yeah, liquefying it does not allow you to store any more material, which is a bit weird. Same size tank. You liquefy it and it still fills the same size tank. A bit weird, but anyway, that's part of it. Right, so that is about all we got this. That's my random ramblings. Now, I haven't got on to the latent heating there, because that'll really hurt your brain. I mean, this is sort of risky putting this in the game, because it may be too much for some people. But as I say, let's just start on Mars. Let's just work with the gas separation at first, and we'll see how we go. We'll come back and have a look at the heating and cooling a bit later on. So that's about all we've got today. So until next time, happy building. See ya.